Well, hi, everybody. It's Debbie Levitt from DeltaCX.com, and welcome, Low Ego Action Heroes. It is our 100th episode, which means we are going to be eating cake today. This is the cake that I got from the local bakery here in the little Italian village where I live. I hope you too have ordered some cake. And we have a special guest who is going to share some cake with me. Special guest, where are you? Special guest, how do you cut into this cake? Oh my God, this cake is so complicated. This is mille sfoglie. How do you say this? Mille sfoglie. To all of you, to the audience, to the listeners, happy 100th episode. Here's my boyfriend sailing on by. That is too good. I will be eating that throughout the episode and probably end up covered in it like a small child. Oh, and my boyfriend's still here. How's the cake, honey?
It's good.
Yeah. All right. Happy episode 100 to us. And to celebrate, we have a super guest today. Make sure you are getting your questions, comments in the channels. I am watching LinkedIn, Twitch, and YouTube. Don't forget to follow us on Twitch. It's better there. I promise. All right, let's bring him in while I eat some cake. Dimitris Niavis. Tell us who the heck you are, spell your name, and welcome.
Nice to be here. Thank you for having me. Hello, everybody. I'm Dimitris Niavis, Dimitris Niavis, for the ones that just get audio. I'm a senior UX designer at Anixe and co-founder of Seque. It's a focus application, productivity application for iOS. I've been working for more than 10 years now in UX. I've done freelancing, I've done contracting, and I'm now at Anixe, as I mentioned before. I consider myself a student of the game, no master, no guru, just a lifelong learner. And that's pretty much about me.
Wonderful. I
Or I
hope you will
could
give...
continue some more because
I was going to say, give
you're
me
going
long
to...
answers so I can eat the cake.
Oh, sorry for that.
I want to know from the chat room, who else got cake? Who else is celebrating with us? Celebrate with us. So, Dimitris, this all started when you wrote a really super article on uxmatters.com. And everybody can Google for that. It's called Potential Dangers of Becoming Data-Driven. And so I want to ask you a little bit about some of the things that are in that article. And again, people can find it on UX Matters. And don't forget to share it out to your social media. It's a super article. So can I ask you what inspired you to write this article? Was something going weird somewhere with data? How did you come upon the topic?
Okay. What inspired me to write that article was actually reality.
Yes.
Working with people and presenting data that they pulled from somewhere as actual data, and then expecting the whole team and the whole company, the whole organization to make decisions based on this. And I've seen and smelled money being burned based on data. So after, let's say, a masochistic contract that I did a couple of years before, my threshold for bad data went really down. I just can't hear people selling, selling bullshit for data, right? So I've been trying to collect my thoughts about how I feel about the matter and how we can move on from this step, from this, using ideas and opinions as data and then destroying and burning money and creating waste. So that was the initial concept.
Yeah, that is inspiring. I think many of us have been there. Chat room, Have you been there? Have you worked at a company with terrible data? I will be telling one of my stories later on. So we talk about data-driven versus data-informed. How would you define these and how are they different?
Data-driven means whatever the data tells us, right? So, as opposed to data-informed, that we have expertise, we have people that have knowledge, training, experience, and they get a sense of what's out there. They get evidence from the data, and then make better decisions. The decision should always be on the people, right? Unless you're doing the best, absolute best research out there and having all the possibilities, and then figure it out, and then okay, let the data do their thing. But that's not the case in reality. I've never seen one. I don't think it's gonna happen. Like you research every possibility that the data can tell you what you should be doing. And I think that data driven is part of our vocabulary more and more these days, which is a good thing, as opposed to the old school, I am the highest paying person in the room and my gut tells me that we need to do this, right? And then we're like burning money nonstop and someone else is to blame for. So data driven in our vocabulary is good, but not with crappy data or
All right.
bad data,
Do you have
right? So
any
that
example, without naming names or giving away things about past projects or work, can you give some general examples of some of the bad data that you see? Because there's always the joke that, the good data is the data that backs up what we wanted to do anyway. And the bad data is the data that says we're wrong. Do you have any examples of good or bad data that you've run into?
actually it's the opposite of what you just said, just mentioned.
Oh,
If you just bring data that just say that you're right, like, in most cases, I think that you should always triangulate, but especially when you get all the data that says, yes, yes, you're right. Uh, for example, doing usability testing at cocktail parties with your friends, these are not data that you can make based decisions upon. This is gonna just burn your money and make people lose their jobs. The way we do research is crucial to the quality of the data that we're getting. So these two are connected. I'm not just talking about data that you get from algorithms or you get from analytics. I'm talking about the data that you have in order for you to make decisions. So okay, cake eating.
what?
That's
There's more cake. Do you want some cake?
yes. We're close but far.
That's right. Get on a plane. Um, I want to tell a story about some of the worst data that I ran into at a job, and I'm hoping that you can use that story maybe to tell the audience what should have happened instead of the terrible story that happened, so that we can start to have some ideas of what we can do differently. I worked at a company where the product manager came to me and said, our numbers show that 27% of mobile web users aren't filtering their search results. So we're going to build something that makes them filter their search results. And I said, can you tie that 27%? Yeah, punch them in the face. We don't care if you want to filter or not, you're going to filter. And I said, can you tie that 27% to any other problems or outcomes? Are those people unhappy? They're complaining more? Are they spending less? Are they shopping less often? Like, how do we know that this is bad? And he didn't answer me. And he insisted on doing the project where we were going to force people into filtering their search results. And of course, long story short, I documented that I said, this is going to fail. And next year, when somebody does a simplify the clutter project, this is going to get removed. And I hope you are asked why you built this. And that's exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened. It got removed. It failed. It got removed the next year in a simplify the clutter project. What can we do at our jobs when someone like this comes up and says, we took a survey and 70% of people want this? What do we do?
Well, triangulate for one. Okay, let's say that you get a survey. First of all, check the survey because if you do a survey and all the questions are biased and leading, you're gonna get the results that you wanted.
Right.
So these are disastrous data because you're gonna make crappy decisions full of confidence, and then you're gonna be throwing away your money and the software that you've built. If what you're trying to build does not make sense for the user, there's not such point in building it.
Right.
If it's in contrast with what the users want, because they didn't want to filter any results, they wanted to do something different, right? And
Right.
they ended up searching for something. I don't know. I'm just guessing, but the idea is to get why they did that behavior. You have observed what that behavior was, but you didn't know why. So you skipped the why and just pulled something out of your gut and try to create a solution there. So this is 100% problematic. What we should be doing is that we have something valid, right? We have some numbers there. If this makes sense with something that the business cares, let's say if you have KPIs in your organization, because not everyone has these, you can link this to a KPI, and then you should still go back and search the why and figure out if this makes sense. And then if you do all this stuff, check on your priorities because it might not make sense to build something now, maybe 100 sprints later. I don't know. But you should know what's going on and why it happens. And then figure out potential solutions for your users, not for the manager to make their bonus. Like have a vanity metric, increase or decrease, irrelevant, and then they get a bonus because they present their work as something majestic that move the needle somewhere for
Now
some
we're
reason.
dealing with a larger level of dishonesty and bad culture. It almost sounds like bad data and bad usage of data and manipulation of data go with a bad workplace culture. Is it possible to have a good work culture and be data manipulators?
No. If you do it on purpose, then you're just working for yourself and you're short-sighted. Because in the long term, you're gonna burn your team, burn the money and the company. There's a chance that you're doing it on best intentions because you don't know. You're trying to do research, and there are a lot of people that are going through this phase, and this is something to be expected if you're not trained. I think it's better than doing no research at all, but you should make sure that you know that you're doing and you have it in your mind and you're going back and checking your research, right? So if you're not that trained in that, you can make mistakes, and that's it's important to document what you're doing in your research, so you can go back and check, let's say, crucial decisions if you make, let's say, bad research, bad interviews, bad surveys, or the usability wasn't designed correctly. You can go back, trace your decisions, and then correct them.
I'm
Does it
smiling
make
because the
sense?
questions are starting to come into the chat room and the comments as well. So we've got, if you torture the data long enough, it will confess to anything. There's
So
that.
true.
And then we've got I can't put up LinkedIn. Everybody switch to Twitch. I can't put up LinkedIn questions, but let me read you a comment from LinkedIn. VJ says, I have seen reputable global research firms incorrectly mishmash data by averaging the scores and averaging again and end up with an average of averages. Okay. Our good friend Sotiris is here, and who I think I met at one of the Greek events. So thank you, Sotiris, for joining. And it says, question for Dimitris, who I don't know who else is here. What have you observed helps teams to begin recognizing bad data from useful or actionable data?
Hmm. Okay.
How do we tell the
Bad data.
difference? Yeah, I think that's a great question because, especially where a manager or a teammate feels confident about the data and they're ready to run with it, how can we recognize that it's bad or not actionable?
How did we get the data, first of all? How did this data reach? Uh, is it evidence or just data? Does
Mm,
it say something about what we're doing and what we're trying to do, or why something is happening, or it's just numbers, or just observation, just opinions, like for starters. So how do we get how did we got this data is really important in order for us to separate from bad data to data. And what can we do with this data? What does this data tell us? That does it mean anything, or is it just 27% search results? The example that you mentioned before.
right.
So these two, yep,
Yeah, I think we can check for it to
yeah,
be meaningful or actionable. And if there's something about it that isn't adding up, then you've got to ask for more data, or it sounds like it's an opportunity to maybe start another research project to learn what we don't know. Yeah.
yeah. Also, what's the impact of what we just learned from this data, right? If it's something that's gonna burn the company down, then we should definitely look more into it. If it's something that's not that important, it's a different story.
Yeah. And I would say try what I used at that job, even though it didn't work. And as Dimitris is saying, what is the impact of that data? 27% of people aren't searching. So what? That might not even be a problem. What I told them at the time is maybe they are putting in so many keywords in their search that they don't need to filter. Maybe they found
Yeah,
exactly what they wanted. How do we know that this is bad or wrong or a problem? Prove it's a
you don't know.
problem.
True, true. Yeah. Or again, if you have somebody just telling you that all of their 10 friends told them that they would buy your application that you're building, that they find this new feature fantastic, this is crappy data. This is bad data, right? First of all, you're trying to make people predict the future, which is not that's great, and it's not a representative of your actual user base or the people that you're actually targeting, right? So you cannot say that, okay, because these 10 people saying that, we should actually bet the house on this
Yeah,
project.
I tell people if you're hearing a lot of good things, you're either asking the wrong questions, the wrong people, or both. So maybe take a look at what were the questions or what was the research and who was part of it. We've got a question. What do you think about A/B testing?
Great for to answer some questions. It's not a panacea.
Panacea. Yeah.
It's not for yeah, it's not for everything. There are a lot of I've been hearing actually lately a lot of people and product managers saying that A/B test everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way to do everything. But A/B test won't tell you why something is happening, right?
Exactly.
If you're using quantitative methods, they're gonna tell you what is happening again. You don't know why this is happening, and it's not for every part of the project, for every team, for every occasion. It just doesn't work. We're trying to figure out a game plan that will work on every occasion because we're trying to reduce our cognitive load, right? And say we need to do these 5 steps. And if you do these 5 steps, then you're gonna reach the goal, whatever that goal is. But every time it's the same five. That doesn't apply in complex situations as UX and building software or creating systems that's gonna involve people. And A/B testing is not for everything. It's good for some things. Yes, sure, do it, but it depends on the situation.
And I think if Larry Marine were here, our good buddy, he would probably say, what if C is better? We're working so hard to prove what's better, A or B. What if there is another concept out there that we didn't even explore because we fell in love with B, and now we think it's A or B, pick one, when really there should be C. I can't put
Or there
LinkedIn.
should be anything, A or B. Perhaps we didn't do any generative research and we're just building something, an idea that we just have and we fell in love with, right? And we should not be building it at all. What about that?
Yeah.
That's where the problem starts in many occasions.
I also asked, did B get any evaluative research? Sometimes marketing teams or product teams say, well, we've got this B idea, just run it against the A and see what wins. And it's like, well, did anyone usability test B and try to make it better before we put it out there in the horse race? We should make sure B is a good idea before we go out and test it. We don't A/B test our way to interaction design.
Yeah. And I think that you've mentioned in a previous episode that, okay, you found that A is better than B, but both A and B are part of a bigger system. So
You
if
saw
you
that
make a
episode.
change at
I'm
one
touched.
point, oh, yeah. So if you're making changes in a system, it affects almost everything, right? And you need to know what does that do to the rest of the system, because somebody, client or user, comes to you to solve a problem, not to just spend time on your system. Your system is a tool for them to achieve a goal. If you fix something and destroys another 10 things down the road, then it's not better. And an A/B test won't show you that. So it's
Yeah.
really narrow-minded, it narrows down to one part, but it's our job to understand how this will affect the whole system.
Yeah, and actually, I don't know if it was an episode or if that was a Medium article that I wrote. It was called something like "Your Metrics Are Myopic." You can Google that on Medium. But yeah, my concern was that even if B looks better, what if it leads to further problems down the road? What if B makes more sales but leads to more complaints? Is B still the right way to go if there's all this other trouble that happens later? Shouldn't we be looking at the full arc and not just, oh, we made more sales, hooray us? Shannon says, I run into this all the time. People want to A/B test because they think their version of something is better. Is there anything that we can say to our coworkers who have their egos on fire, who want to A/B test their idea to try to prove they have a better idea?
Well, the whole idea is to test in order for us to learn, not to be right. So if your ego is gonna be blocking the progress of the project and the team, then you should check yourself before you wreck yourself,
Yeah, check yourself,
right?
everybody. Check your ego.
It's
And I
not
guess
about it's not
check
about
other
us. It's
people's
not
ego.
about us.
Right. It's not about
Yes,
being right.
but as a team, you should have a culture there that will enable people to feel okay to make mistakes, and it's not just being right. Because if you're right and the product fails, so what?
Yeah.
What did you do there? Right?
And where's the accountability?
There's
See
no
episode
accountability.
99. Yeah.
Yes.
We have a question in LinkedIn from VJ, so I have copied it and pasted it so you can see it on the screen. Many design folks I have met are not trained on aspects of data and its nuances. They usually introduce a lot of bias as well. What has worked for you to enable designers to be data aware?
First of all, to understand that if you're biasing something, then the data that you get out of it are not that credible, are not that valid. And if you don't have valid data, then you're actually half guessing, all right? Or you're guessing, but you have biased guessing. You're creating data that you want, right? So the first thing is you understand that this can occur, how this biasing can occur. Again, if you prepare to do some research, write down what you need to learn and start from that. What is it that we actually need to learn? What kind of data would let us know that we have found out what we needed to learn? Build our research based on that. Check that we don't introduce bias on that. Let's say, read your questions out loud, run a test pilot, right? Talk with a colleague. Make sure that you're not leading or biasing the participants on that. And then it's a if they don't want to learn, if they don't want to understand this because they really fall in love with their ideas, it's a long path. But what we should be doing is keep explaining to them, and it's part of our job actually as UXers to train the team as it about UX, right? Not how to do UX, but how it works. It's part of our job to educate people so we can better collaborate.
Okay, love that. And by the way, you're getting lots of agreement in the chat room. I know you can't see it, but people are like, "Yes. Oh my god, yes. Great point. Yes." So just so I know you don't see the chat, but just so you know, people are doing whatever this is. What is this, people?
Go
And
chat.
Tarina says, very difficult if one person is biased and something just goes in one direction. Shannon says, do you have advice for moving a team forward from analysis paralysis? Are you familiar with that phrase?
Yes. Okay, so how did you end up to analysis paralysis? It's important, right? So I will guess here that you don't agree and you're trying to do research and then you don't have definitive evidence, right? Something like that. So the idea is we need to create the best thing that we can in a specific time frame for our users that will also make sense for the business and we can actually build it. I know it's not that simple, but that's the whole idea. So what we need to be doing is to do the best solution. It's not our solution if two solutions are the same. We should check like it's the same for one part of the project, but if they destroy another one or make something worse in another part of the product, I'm sorry, then we should take the other road. We should compare. We should see the whole system. It's not just what we're building now. It's not just this feature, right? So we should have something like a North Star and then compare. If they are the same, just build one and then keep testing. Move forward and test with people. Actually, the best
Keep
thing
testing.
that keep testing when it makes sense, right? Not just on every decision, like we should have this button here or here. Yes, spend 3 days testing. It's not like that, but it always helps, right? And when you see the people struggling with your what you're building, then you have your answer. Again, when you do the research right.
Right. Right. Very quickly, since we're halfway through the show, let me just remind everybody if you're on YouTube, hit that like button. It helps with the algorithm. If you are watching live or watching us later, this is always archived on the YouTube channel. So you can just always hit up the YouTube channel, Delta CX, to see all the archived stuff. I think I have over 300 hours of content up there. So you can also search on YouTube, put in Delta CX, and whatever the hell topic is on your mind, and you will find everything we've been saying about it. You can also join our Slack channel, which is totally free and has about almost 500 people there, though not all of them are active, but it's definitely getting more active there. And then, of course, we have the tip jar, since I'm not running ads on anything in YouTube. So it goes to the cake fund.
Oh,
That was a delicious cake. So, yes, thank you for pointing to the tip. I can't make it today. I'm in this little box. We have the tip jar that goes to the cake fund. So thank you for all of your donations, because I have all of the YouTube ads turned off. And again, follow on Twitch, because Twitch has a 7-second delay, which means I see your comments and questions much faster than if you're on YouTube and LinkedIn. So join there. I wanted to ask you something that's burning in my mind and see what you think of it. Obviously, you may have heard that there is a trend right now towards UX shortcuts, design sprints, design thinking. Am I covered in chocolate? Workshops. And very often, I think these things skimp on research, minimal testing, but people will come out of a design sprint and say, well, we sketched an idea, we made a paper prototype of it, and we found 5 people and we tested it. That, right, I am a very good boy. This is what we should build. How do you deal with a group or a team that believes that that process has led to excellent data, that this is the product direction?
Show me the data, first of all. Again, for all these things that pop out left and right, I think these are great tools for if you're a consultant, if you wrote a book and you want to sell it to companies and then go do talks and conferences, right? It's perfect. It's done 1 week, you get a lot of money, you sell the idea that all this complex process that we need to like bleed and sweat and tears to actually build something useful. Yeah, you don't need to be doing this. You're gonna hire me, and we're gonna be doing this in 1 week, like the magic path. So I think it's sold like that, and it's designed to be sold like that. I found it troublesome if this happens. Like you need to find the tools that will work for your team, that will work in your situation, in your company. So no one solution fits all. And for I don't know, I've been seeing people taking things that exist out there, putting a new name on top of them and presenting them as the new novel thing that they have created, and it's panacea to another problem. Whenever you find this problem in your life or in your company, just hire me or buy my book or see my thing and solve it in 5 days. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. And the funny thing is that this happens in UX and design, but doesn't happen in engineering, right?
Right.
Because they're accountable. If you do,
If there are
if you
bugs,
write
they
bad
will be
code,
accountable.
yes, yes, but in our job, in marketing, it doesn't happen in any other thing. But with UX and design, it happens all the time. I think it's on one hand, it's because they don't understand what UX is, and most of it. Can you show the triangle?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yes, it's we only see the building blocks, which is the top of the iceberg, right?
That's, oh,
What
you
you
want the
created,
iceberg
the
version?
tangible.
Here's the iceberg version. This is
Yes,
above the water. Everyone sees the building
yes,
blocks. We made a wireframe. And there's the
yeah.
iceberg.
And then nobody sees that part of the process, which is this is where the magic happens, right? If you don't do this, you're just guessing and creating beautiful stuff that nobody wants, or actually it's gonna make their life even worse. Your users, your customers. So finding fantastic solutions, magic solution out of the box, I think is highly problematic. Like if you don't user test, it don't not just user test. If you don't understand your customers and your users and do generative research like constantly, not just one time. Like you need to be in touch with these people, right? You need to understand what they're going through, how to make their life easier. And then you create it. If you find the right problem, then you create the solution. If you create the perfect solution for the wrong problem, so just put lipstick on a pig. What's the
It's
point in
like
that?
Larry Marine is here. You are channeling Larry Marine. It's beautiful. We've got Oz here, who is the king of cleaning shitty data. You can follow him on YouTube as Excel on Fire. He says when the data is shitty quality, there shouldn't be any analysis. And right before that, he said, this is starting with an assumption that the data is clean, complete, and useful. I find too many folks can't clean data, identify duplicates, extract data from PDFs, split names from birthdays. So again, Oz lives more in the Excel world, so he's usually
Yeah.
dealing with terrible Excel spreadsheets with terrible data, often brought in from some other sources, but he's still totally right. If the data is shitty, why are we analyzing it? We should probably be running the research freshly. Go back to what you intended to learn in your research. Did you learn that? If you didn't learn that, more research.
Yes.
Something to add to that?
Yeah, it seems that people think that research is expensive, but building crap is far more expensive because it's gonna
Absolutely.
hurt you. in a gazillion ways. And it seems, I don't know, I find it difficult to understand how it's like people have a checklist that we should be doing this, these 5 parts. And if we do this, again, similar to design sprint and whatever sprints happens these days, what's the new fad? It's not just do these 5 things. Like you need to know what you're doing. And if it's 5 things, yeah, cool. If you can actually adapt some of it and run faster iterations, if it works for your team and you're actually getting results, again, cool. But know what
Okay,
you're doing.
I'm putting up a question. What do you mean what I'm doing? Why do you care? So this is from Sotiris because you can't see LinkedIn questions and I want to put them on the screen so you can see them. So I have to copy and paste them.
Mhm.
Which metrics have you found useful in order to help your team make more informed product decisions? Ooh, are there good metrics that will help us make better decisions?
Sure. Ease of use, the usability, the foundability of a feature of a specific element. The learnability, again, let's say that you're building for something that you're going to have mixed users as, and by mixed, I mean new users, pro users, etc. The learnability of what you're actually doing, what you're actually building is really important, right? Because if people can't use what you've built, then it's not usable. There's no point in just building that. Um, See where people struggle, find out this data and show them with your team, understand their whole process and their needs and their pain points, present them to your team, have a shared understanding, because we're the UXers, we're the designers, but we're doing it as a team. If we're trying to solve the same problem, we can leverage the knowledge and the expertise of the developers as well, because they know the tech, and we need to create something that will solve the problem, not build our fantastic idea, right? So if we can find data to leverage the whole team, and I'm not talking about sketching again all the team, how the UI might look, but discussing on a systems level, we need to be achieving A, B, and C. How are we going to do it? Which is the optimal way for the company to do it in time without creating a gazillion bugs and tech debt, right? Did I answer the question?
Well, you have to ask Sotiris that, but he's on LinkedIn and
Okay.
they're sometimes 2 or 3 minutes delayed. So, Sotiris, how was that? And let us know if you have a follow up question. Anybody can ask any questions or any follow up questions. Oz was posting more about checking that sometimes there are, because again, he's dealing mostly with Excel. So, he's thinking about how a lot of stuff in Excel can be messy. 5 records are all in one cell. And he's also saying some people don't know how to check quality. They don't know the analytics. They don't know how to check quality. Let's talk a little bit about quality of data. Thank you to Oz for the inspiration. So, very often people ask me, what quantitative research can we do that's going to help us find the right direction or prove a certain thing? And I always say qualitative research. I want to do qualitative research. I don't want to run a survey on this. I want to do generative or evaluative research. What is your opinion on qualitative versus quantitative research? When do these shine?
They go hand in hand, depending where you are in in the process, right? If you're trying to understand, if you're trying to figure out what's going on with a new project, then I think you should start definitely with qualitative. Get in touch with your users, but then again, it doesn't mean that you only have to do one kind of research, right? You can do things in parallel. For example, check your analytics. Observe how users, let's say, use something like a Hotjar tool. Then talk to them from what you find there. Or if you talk to them and you see that they're doing something else, then you know that something's not it's not working. Triangulate and conquer. That's the whole idea. So I don't think it's either or. They go hand in hand, and you should be actually leveraging both because you need to do this.
I was just writing down something that you're saying. You said Hotjar was an example of, you said Hotjar, right?
Yeah. As one that data source, right? You see what they're doing at like for example, on the project that we're working right now, we observe daily how they use a specific module because we're building on that. We do interviews with them, we do usability testing with them. So we're finding patterns. We are doing interviews, like asking how do they let them show us how they're using the software, and then probing why they're doing specific behaviors. And this new research is informed based on Hotjar. So we found something, the what. We go do qualitative research to see the why. We design a new version, test the prototype, and then do the whole part again. And cool thing about Axure is that you can actually add Hotjar code in it. So you can you can actually share prototypes. Didn't know that?
No, I hadn't put Hotjar code in Acture, but I could see how that works. I've once put user
Yeah.
zoom code into Acture, like 2016.
You can actually do both Hotjar and analytics in Axure.
Mm.
And you can because you can do high interactivity, then what we're doing is sharing the prototype and then we observe them how they use the prototype. So we have different layers of observation and research.
I like it. I
It's
like it.
kind of
And
cool.
Sotiris says your answer was excellent and thank you. So don't you worry, you're doing
Thank you,
great.
Sotiris.
Do you know Sotiris?
Yes. We
Oh,
should have
good.
Sotiris here.
Why? What does he know?
He knows stuff. He drinks
He knows
wines
stuff.
and
Okay,
load.
message
Yeah.
me. Message me what you know about, and we'll get you on the show. And we've got people throwing some hearts around for Acture. So I agree there. Something else from your article was your article had said treat requirements as hypotheses. I feel like so many people working in UX feel like they don't have that option. When we get requirements, it's very often the Bible. This is what
Mhm.
you're building. Do this. Do you feel like UX should maybe push back or say, thanks for requirements, now we're going to go research if any of these make sense? What's the right thing to do when someone throws requirements at us?
Well, we shouldn't battle it face on, right? Because they're telling you that they need this. They're telling you they need a solution. I think that first of all, it's our job that we build the right thing, first of all. So if we get crappy requirements, then we need to talk with stakeholders and understand why this solution, what problem does this solution will fix. And then if we can agree on solving that specific problem is our goal, then we can go on and do more research, find out if this problem actually exists, right? Else we're betting the house on something that somebody got has told them. If that problem actually exists, then we can figure out the solution. So what we gain with this is that we're not fighting a stakeholder, like we don't have within the company fights. We agreed on a problem that they have brought to the table. So we've partnered with that stakeholder, and then we can involve them. We should be involving them to with the findings of the research. So we not just take the requirements and build it because that's probably crap. We don't fight the stakeholder because we're gonna spend a lot of time doing just that and not research and not our job. We find out the solution, we distill the solution. We should be able to do that, right? And then we go out, do research, bring back evidence, and have discussions with them, offer alternatives. I think this process is more fluid and will help us to achieve what we need to be doing. Fighting head on, I don't think it never helps because stakeholders are part of the team, right? They want to, in most cases, they want to do the best for the company as well. They are not just trained on how to do this. It's not their job to build software in most cases. Like a recent example is that we were asked to be building a specific module for a back office system that we're doing right now. And it was something like a glorified Excel because the stakeholders and the users, this is what they knew. And if we could actually have specific buttons in an Excel file, that would do magic, they would prefer that. So, yeah, we went and talked and analyzed and figured out what they need to be doing. We observed them how they do their day-to-day work, and we've managed to create something new that's actually it's software. It's something that they actually want. It does their work faster, better, less painful.
Yeah, otherwise you might be building a workaround that you have to fix later anyway because it didn't address the real problem. We do have a question coming in, and I'm going to put it up so you can get a preview of it and help me pronounce this name, even though I don't think it's necessarily Greek. And I'm just going to take a moment and I'm going to quickly go through what's coming up on the show so people can mark their calendars. Please remember that tomorrow is Tuesday, which is normally office hours Ask Me Anything, but it's going to be office hours Ask the Three Amigos Anything. It's Darren, Dr. Nick, and me taking your questions tomorrow. So so keep eating the cake. Wednesday the 24th is going to be a comedy podcast. I'm going to be showing the craziest slides from the HR training that I've been writing for months. These will be the slides about the worst UX job descriptions I have seen. So come for the comedy and tragedy. Let's see. Monday, March 1st, we are just beyond thrilled to have Abby Covert coming on. She wrote How to Make Sense of Any Mess. She's a famous information architect. I believe she started World IA Day. So she's going to be here on Monday, March 1st. Yeah, thank you, Dimitris. Tuesday the 2nd, office hours Ask Me Anything. Wednesday the 3rd, psychologist and non-UX person Dr. Seth Finkel will be back for another in our series of kind of self-help and workplace help. He's going to be talking about people-pleasing versus self-advocacy. So kind of how to stand up for yourself when part of you really wants to just make everybody happy. Monday, March 8th, we're going to have Julia DeBarry on talking about boot camps. She has been an instructor at 7 boot camps, and we're going to learn a little bit about the sausage being made. March 9th, office hours Ask Me Anything. March 10th, no broadcast. We're going to do our monthly Slack video networking. So join the Slack channel. Let's put that up on the screen. Join the Slack channel. It is free. There will be, and we're not done. We're going to take a few more questions afterwards. Yes, thank you. But I do want to announce a couple of things late in March so people can mark their calendars. Tuesday, March 16th, I know that's almost a month away. That's going to be a comedy office hours Ask Us Anything. I will be joined by Canadian broadcasting radio host Russell Bowers, who is not only your weekend Canadian radio host for the province of Alberta, but he's also a comedian, and he will be providing short comedy answers to your questions before I provide real answers. And of course, please mark your calendars for March 23rd, where we are going to have famous and beloved author Steve Portigal coming on for an Ask Me Anything. So I want to make sure everybody's got that marked. In general, I'm broadcasting nearly every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Italy time. So please do join. And now to get this question back up on the screen, I apologize. I am not too sure how to pronounce your name. I would go a little bit Italian with it and maybe say Zantipa?
Zantippe.
Okay. I trust you. So she says,
It's Greek.
Okay, it's Greek. Then I'm going with you on this one, Dimitris. So she says, as I understand, it is hard to be a one-woman or one-man show. What are the knowledge pillars required and roles to get the ideal team in order to be able to answer effectively the what and why bias-free? Ooh, almost sounds like who should be on your research squad. What do you think?
Ideally, a trained UX researcher would be enough to do this, right? So rightly trained person, a UX researcher for sure, UX designer again. But to ask the pillars question is, you need to know your how to do research. You need to have, I don't know how to. We don't need to reinvent the wheel as UXers because social scientists have paved the way, have tested all the research methods that we're actually using besides analytics. or analytics as well, statistics. They've been doing this for years. We're just adapting what they've been doing and have optimized to what we need to achieve. So if you have somebody trained in research, should able to do just that, the whats and the whys, right? But
Bias
as a
free.
team, bias free. You should first of all, yeah, you need to understand bias, right? You need to understand that it exists, and it exists. Even the best researchers have their biases, but what their best is they can figure it out soon enough and take it out. They know how to do this. They have trained so many hours, and they just it happens, but happens a lot less, and they can take it out. So they get more valid data. Pillars. Did I ask? I'm still stuck on the
Knowledge
pillars
pillars
question.
required and roles. I think you did answer that. The only thing I could add is let's stop trying to give specialized research to the product manager, to marketing, to the DevOps person, to engineers. I know some people think if they share UX research with everybody, it's going to be great, but I think it's going to lead to more bias, and I think it's going to lead to disrespect for what we do because we will accidentally make it look like everybody can do this. No training required. Anything
Sure,
to add?
but yeah,
Go
I
for it.
think Dr. Nick has something to say about this, and I think that I agree with him. He said that his mind has changed about democratizing research, right? So I'm agreeing, but to an extent, that the more they understand the importance of doing research, I think this is good. But it shouldn't happen just like that. One day you're a developer and then you're doing research. You should be with a person that's highly trained, and they can train you to do research. And after doing some stuff with them, perhaps you can do small parts, and then check again with your trainer, with the teammate that actually knows how to do this, so that you can see the bias in your question, how you introduce, how easily you can do that. It's one thing to, if you don't know how to spot it, research is really easy. But doing research, I mean, especially qualitative, right? It's an art form. It's it's really hard.
They heard.
So yeah, it's a good thing to find the importance of doing research. And if the whole team can be trained, at least to an extent, I think it will help. But not everyone is a researcher. Not all data are created equally, right? And this is what I will end this comment with.
Yes, and we'll ask Dr. Nick tomorrow when he joins us for office hours. I am 100% against so called democratization, especially since it's not being done in anybody else's domain. They're not democratizing marketing or engineering or anything else. But we don't have to debate that today. We can just say Dimitris is kind of for it, and I am kind of against it. And good luck. Yes.
I'm for it if we can teach people, like, again, you have the person that knows how to do it and it's responsible, and you have people that actually can ask questions but not go out and do their own research, right? Unless
But you're
they have become
saying
a junior researcher.
it sounds like you're saying you should only do this if you can really train people and they're good at it and they can ask the right questions. And my question would be, why are we taking this poor engineer away from their development work? Why don't we just hire a researcher? Why are we trying to retrofit other people into our jobs? If we need help, and I'm not sure we do, but if we need help, why aren't we telling our managers and leaders, find and hire for me a qualified teammate? Why are we telling the engineer, stop coding, don't worry about missing your sprint goals, and learn some research and give it a try with me?
You're 100% right. We shouldn't. The whole idea is that we have people understanding the value of research and being able to ask the questions as a team, like when we discuss a feature, right? If they understand the value of research and how this could be done, and have trained people that can, even if they're devs, right, and they can ask you questions and help you with the questions. It's not that you need this thing, but let's say that when you're designing something, if you have no idea how code works and how the specific stack that you're using for that project works, then you will be creating miracles in your design tools, but that cannot be built, right? Something like that. If you can actually let people know, and then if they understand the value of research, this will help us a lot. That's what I'm for, not for everybody going and doing research. But
Yeah, and I
again, if they can
believe.
interact,
So go ahead.
sorry,
To
if they
you,
can
sir. You
interact
are the
with,
guest.
thank you, lady. If they can interact with users and stakeholders and then actually see the discussions, I think this is good to have them with the researcher. That's good.
I'm for
The best
observing.
thing,
Yes, I'm for them
yes,
observing. Yes, they should observe.
yes.
They should know what's going on. They should be part of all that. But I'm still very worried about trying to have them do this stuff when they're not good at it, and us accidentally or on purpose
No,
teaching our
yeah.
workplaces that, hey, yeah, sure, someone went out and got a master's degree in research or psychology or whatever, but sure, let's just give the QA person a couple of hours of training and take them off of their mission critical work. So for our question
No, no.
asker, what are the knowledge pillars required? I think to me that's what it comes back to, because good research requires pillars of knowledge and pillars of experience and deductive reasoning and logic and being able to read people and all these things. I just don't want to give it to everybody. There, in some cases, I don't even want to give it to a UX designer. You know, to me, it's quite specialized. In some cases, design. I started out as a interaction designer, and I've ended up more of a researcher. Sometimes you find that you're good at both, but not everybody is, and that's okay. Oh, good. We have some people saying congratulations. Don't forget to eat your cake, everybody. Yes, congratulations on 100. Dimitris has a comment, and it's not the person on the show. There is actually someone else named Dimitris. And he says, we must ensure that all requirements have come from actual research. If they've just been made up, you are rolling the dice. I think that would be a great idea. I'm definitely pushing now more for collaboration between UX and the analysts who write requirements. It would be great for us to be collaborating that early in a project where we can influence the requirements and keep the garbage out. Have you been able to do that at any of your jobs? I haven't.
We're actually kind of doing it right now, but it's
Okay.
an ongoing process. So for sure, I agree with Dimitris. Well, and we should be actually treating requirements as assumptions or hypotheses, right? And work with stakeholders and the people that they feel that or they have to write the requirements. And again, going back and figuring out what the problem we're trying to solve is. The sooner we can actually agree on the problem, then everything becomes way easier because we don't have to fight on specific solution for something that we don't know exists. Like the problem exists, right? And try to figure out how we're gonna build this via requirements, and then having the devs running grooming, tech grooming, task breakdowns, etc. If we agree on the problem and then work with the whole team, it's not just us. We're not the software messiahs, right? Although some of us maybe like to see ourselves like that, we're not the software messiahs. We are more trained in a specific way of thinking and doing, but we need to be working with the rest of the team because we need to achieve the same goals. The sooner we can start having that infamous empathy about our users and actually having it with everybody, right? The sooner we can collaborate easier with them, better, more effectively. So sure, work with the analyst and don't just be the prick that knows everything and that needs to tell everybody how to do stuff because we don't like to be told how to do the things that we know how to do, right? So we need to
Yes.
figure out ways to collaborate. It's not, we're part of the team.
Yes.
Sometimes we need to put our foot down because this is what we're actually hired for and being paid for.
Right.
And that's okay. But we shouldn't go with an attitude that, yeah, the UX has arrived, so everybody bow. That's,
Kiss the ring.
yes, bend the knee.
Right. So we are just about out of time. If anybody has any, we have my boyfriend attempting some Greek. Let's put that up on the screen. Let's see how he does. How's that? He wrote one of the best episodes yet, unpronounceable Greek word. What does it say?
Thank you. Ευχαριστώ.
I figured it was thank you, but I can't say it in Greek.
Yes, you can.
Well, I
I can
don't
train
know how.
you.
I can't read Greek.
Ευχαριστώ.
There's a XE looking thing. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know Greek letters. I'm not good at this.
Okay.
But thank you to Boyfriend for chiming in. Over on Twitch, where things are much cooler. Quickly, if you're in Twitch, do ! Giveaway. At the end of February, I will be drawing a winner of a signed hardcover full color book from me. I will ship it from here and to you. And hopefully it will get there. Thank you, COVID. Efaristo. Somebody is writing. Okay. I guess. Sorry. Thank you, Twitch person. I can't do Greek. I'm so embarrassed. I can't do I butcher people's names constantly. You're all very nice to put up with me. So it looks like we're wrapping up. So where I like to end is, hey, Dimitris, where can people find you, connect with you, read what you're thinking, follow you, tweet at you? What are you into?
My poison of choice is LinkedIn. I've quit all other social media. Too much crap going on there. So find me on LinkedIn and let's have a chat.
Cool. Find him there, Dimitris Niavis. He looks like that. And yes, add him. And thank you so much for this. I hope you had some fun. Thank you for being super special episode number 100. We will remember you forever. And we'll have to have you back when you have another topic. And I'm even getting a back channel private message that Sotiris is really cool. So I will have to see what his area of specialty will be, and we will drag him on. Yes.
Research and statistics. He's great in that.
All right. So Tiris, message me on LinkedIn and tell me what your episode should be about, and we will figure that out. So I play us out of here with a little video, but before I start the video, I'm going to show a picture of cake again. So Dimitris, thank you so much for joining, and see you very soon on LinkedIn. And for now, picture of cake. Thanks, everybody. Be well. See you soon. Happy 100 to us. Delta CX, available for CX and UX consulting, projects, and training. Contact us for a free consultation.